My name is Pastor Livingston Nganga, Revival Missions Church, Ruiru. Our headquarters is in Roa Kabete, and our presiding Bishop James Njuguna. So today we'll be looking at homeschooling, and allow me to put another hat. In my day-to-day role, I'm a head of training at Aerosave Consultants. We do aviation training. And so based on the experience in the education sector, a few people have approached me and just to share my thinking on what's happening right now, given that we have many of our kids at home, and many of us, we are doing homeschooling. And it's a fact that many parents, this is new for us, especially in this part of the world. And maybe just a few of my thoughts and my experience, so that at least we share and we encourage each other along the way. Before I begin, maybe I'll just read a verse in Proverbs chapter 4. Proverbs chapter 4 is known about wisdom and the knowledge. And from verse 1 it says, "Listen, my sons, to a father's instruction. Pay attention and gain understanding. I give you sound learning." So we see as you go on, it talks about learning and wisdom and understanding and how important they are. And one of the responsibilities that we have as parents is to ensure that our children get the education and they get learning and they get training. And so today, as we look at it, we want to start and say that it's one of the principles, foundations in the Word of God, because it's our responsibility to give our kids the best. Our parents gave us what was the best, and we are also giving our kids what's the best. So as our kids are home right now, it's our responsibility to do whatever it takes so that we ensure that they get that knowledge. And definition of learning, what is learning? Learning is the acquisition of knowledge or skills through study, experience, or being taught. So learning is actually life, and it's not the preparation of life, because many of us, we go to school, we take our kids to school, and we are saying we are preparing them for life. But we need to know that learning is part of life. Even as we have what we call the university of life. Every day, even as adults, we are learning from experiences as we are doing business, as we are doing ministry, as we are going to our workplaces. And so we need now to help our students and our children to learn, to acquire the knowledge. And now, because they are not going to school, it's our responsibility, and that's what we'll be looking at. And we know the purpose of learning is actually to bring a change of behavior. When we get this learning, calculate the learnings in us, the purpose is actually a change of behavior. And so this brings us to homeschooling. What is homeschooling? Homeschooling, from the dictionary, the definition is it's the education of children at home. That is at home. Just as we are doing right now because of COVID, by their parents, can either be the parents or a teacher or a tutor, or by an online teacher. And this is right now what is happening across the world, and parents are, we've been drawn into the deep end, and we have to take care of our kids. And so there are many challenges, and I've talked to a few people and compiled, talked to quite a number of parents and asked them. My question was, what are the challenges that you're meeting out there? And I want to go, there are around 8 challenges, and we'll just go one by one, and we'll try to address them as much as possible. Number one, many parents said they have a lot of self-doubt. They don't believe, they don't have that self-confidence that they can do homeschooling for their kids. And this is okay, because we know parents have never gone, they've not gone, they don't have the skills as teachers. But one of the things I want to tell you is, as a parent out there, is, learning is part of life. And one of the people that have really taught me, and I really got a lot of experience from, is my grandma. And she had not gone to school, but she really inculcated a lot of learning. So I want to encourage a parent out there who thinks, I'm not ready, I cannot do homeschooling. Yes, you can. Because the key question is, you need to know why. And just to give you some basic ideas, is you need to understand that training kids is different from adult learning. Training kids is a bit different from adult learning, because for kids, they are subject to the teacher. They wait for the teacher to tell them. They don't have that motivation to learn themselves. They wait for somebody to lead them. So the parent out there, you have to take the initiative. If you sit down and expect the children to take the initiative, it will not happen. So number two, they know they depend on the teacher. So as kids are home, they're depending on you as a parent to give the go-ahead and to help them to create the environment. They are assumed to be inexperienced and uninformed. And so you have to take a responsibility as a parent. And that is why homeschooling, you need to have that confidence that yes, you can homeschool your children. And so the teacher sets the pace. That is one of the key things of children learning. The teacher has to take the pace. You have to be in the forefront. You have to guide them. You have to walk with them and let them make their calendar, their schedule, their timetable. Walk with them, be with them, encourage them. They are passive learners and they sit back and they wait for the teacher to take the initiative. And so one of the reasons, according to that point that we are discussing, is to address the issue of not having confidence. You need to have confidence and to know that yes, you can walk with them, you can create the environment, you can sit with them, have that timetable, you can question them, you can sit together with them at their level, and so that they feel encouraged. Because they'll just sit back passive, just waiting for the parent and the teacher to come and take the initiative. Number two, one of the other challenges that parents have reported is kids are not taking them seriously, and that is okay, because they can't figure out this is mom or this is dad, and there is a mom and dad and there is a teacher. And one of the things we know that kids really respect their teachers and they listen to the teachers. But when it comes, it's mom, it's dad teaching me, giving me, to sit down and work, it becomes a bit tricky. But one of the things that is very important that you have to set, because as we said from point to number one, children are passive, they sit down, and the teacher has to set the pace. As the parent, you have to take charge. And you have to take clear rules and expectations. You have to declare, and they have to know these are the rules and this is what I have set. And when you agree on the timetable, this is what we have to do. You have to wake up, take your breakfast, do this. After this, you go and pray. The initial days it may be a bit tricky, but after some time they realize the seriousness. So yes, they can take you seriously as a parent. You are the parent, you can set the rules. You have to be very, very firm on this. Number three, the parents have been saying it's very hard. The organization, juggling the house duties and the kids, and especially also for parents who have young kids, and that's a very big challenge for homeschooling. But one of the things that we see is you need to set a schedule. You need to set a structure. You need, there's something I want to give you, and it's a statement that I've learned, as an instructor. Prior planning prevents poor performance. It's called 5 P's. Prior planning prevents poor performance. That means you have to prior plan. You have to sit and plan the homeschooling for your kids. You have to take the initiative as the parents, and you plan in advance their timetable, how the environment, the learning environment in the home. And that is very important, because when you plan, you can plan your duties, so that by the time they wake up, maybe you have done the house duties and everything, that the environment is available. So if it's the place where they are, it's the living room or it's a study room, you need to plan that environment is conducive for their learning. So if they are learning, the TV maybe needs to be off. It's so that if there is anybody else who's watching TV, they need to know this is time for class for these children. So prior planning prevents poor performance. So you really need to plan, you really need to organize. The other thing is you have to care. For those parents who are having challenges caring for their children, maybe you have small children, small kids, and a toddler maybe, and you have these other kids that you have to homeschool. It's a big challenge. But one of the things is you need maybe to plan, maybe the time they sleep, and maybe if they are a bit older, you just make sure that you involve them. Let them be part of the program. Maybe you can, as you're schooling the bigger ones, and also you sit together with them and give them some assignments. So it's very important so that you juggle between, the toddlers and also the other kids, and that's a big challenge. The other challenge is, you know, sometimes as a parent you feel isolated, and you know it's very tiring. You have all the housework maybe you're doing, and maybe you're running to office and coming back, and you're homeschooling. You have to check the homework they have done. You have to supervise them, and it feels exhausting. And one of the things that you need to counter this is you need to connect with other parents. It's very important. Connect with other parents or teachers who have experience in homeschooling. Learn from one another. Learn from the parents of the kids who are in the same, maybe the same class, or even from your school. There are some schools right now, they are sending information, maybe through WhatsApp or through internet, or through e-learning, or whichever scheme. So it's very important, engage with the teachers. In case there's a challenge, you really need to connect. Don't feel overwhelmed and isolated. It's very, very important, so that once you talk with another parent and you exchange ideas, they'll give you a motivation, you know, to move on and to help them. So then the sixth challenge that I got was, you know, many parents are saying, now how will our kids now socialize with others if they are just there reading and doing homework? And it's a very big challenge right now during the COVID season, because our kids are just home. But what I've seen is that some parents, what they do is they allow their kids even to connect also with other kids, maybe through technology, through Zoom, or through you know, whatever technology, WhatsApp or talking. I've seen our kids sometimes even, you know, you give them a phone and they text their friends and they connect or they talk to them, because you see, kids are used to socializing in school, but right now they find themselves in a very unique place. They are home, and you know, there's mom and dad, and you know, they have to do this work, and they are not meeting their friends. And so we really need to work with them, so that also they don't feel left out, and also they feel connected with their loved ones, with other kids that they play around with. So the seventh one is the big one, and I think this is the biggest. And many parents are asking, how do I motivate the children, you know, to learn? And especially if you look at there's a theory of motivation. You know, initially the motivation was very high when we closed schools, because you know, the kids were expecting maybe within a week, within 2 weeks, you know, they're gonna go back. So the motivation was very high. But when it took 1 month, 2 months, the motivation reached a peak, and then they realized we are not going soon. And then what happened to their motivation? It started going down. And that's what happens to motivation. It goes up and then starts going down, peaks and then goes down. And one of the challenges now we have to do as homeschooling, as parents, is now to make sure this motivation that is going down now, we change it, we turn it, and so that it goes up. And one of the things is now, what are strategies can we use so that we motivate our children to school, to learn? Because many of them, they are looking, you know, we are just 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, we don't know when we are going to go back, and especially them who are sitting for exams, and there's a lot of anxiety in them, and you know, they really don't know what to do, and you can imagine. So as a parent, you really need to understand them and work with them. And one of the things is you really need to motivate them. And one of the things you need to understand in learning is there are two types of motivation. There is intrinsic motivation that comes from inside, and also there is the extrinsic, that is you know, comes from outside. Motivation that comes from, induced from outside. And many of the times for the kids, it's outside, it's extrinsic, it's not from the within. And so as a parent, one of the things that we need to do is we need to find out, how do we build our kids so that they get that, they become motivated. Because remember, the brain primarily is designed for survival, and learning is secondary. It's not automatic. Learning, it's not automatic. The brain is wired in a way that it survives, but then learning has to be induced, and especially for children. That's why, you know, you have to push them to do the homework, to remember. And that's a difference between adult learning, because in adult learning, a learner who goes to school or college, you know, they have that inner motivation, maybe for whatever purpose they go to learn. But for a kid, it's not there. So as a learner, as a parent, you need to know, how do we create that environment? How do we enable them, you know, to be motivated? So we need to understand that to motivate people, we need to get the brain to learn to create an environment that needs to take care of their basic needs. So one of the things is we have to provide the basic needs for the kids. So the environment has to be right for them to study. And then we need to know that highly motivated people, however, they know where they are going, and they plan, and they strive, they plan, they have goals. So one of the things is we need to move our kids to have their own goals. You know, different types of motivation lead to different learning strategies. So as we move our kids, you know, as their motivation goes down, we need now to take it up. And what are some of these goals that we need to do? We need to be there with them. We need to walk with them. We need to listen to them. We need to encourage them. You know, and also we need to know our kids are different. There are some who are surface learners. They just learn for the sake. You know, we are different. And from I think from my life, I've always been a C student. And it reached a place where, you know, that intrinsic, that motivation to study, I think came out somewhere. I was in Form 2, Form 3, because I was in a day school. And for me, you know, I was just there. But there's something that happened in my life, and it motivated me, and I started believing in myself. I believed, yes, I'm in a day school, yes, I'm in a small room and staying by myself, I have all the freedom, but that motivation, that intrinsic motivation that came inside, that really fired me, even to a place where I went to the university and actually did mathematics, which I never ever thought that I had. So our children have the capacity, and they have the tenacity. They have those resources within them. But it takes a parent who goes and sits with them at their level, and you really motivate them, encourage them. They really need to understand why they are doing it. Don't let them study because, you know, dad or mom says. They need to know, why am I doing this? They need to see the reason. They need to buy it. You need to communicate and communicate again. You need to develop what they call self-efficacy. That self-confidence in them. They really need to know that, you know, even after failure, sometimes they fail. Sometimes experiences only that comes easily, you know, it's not very good, because some difficulties and setbacks in human pursuits serve a purpose in teaching us that success usually requires sustained effort. It's very important for our children. And after people become convinced that they have what it takes to succeed, that makes it a difference. When our kids realize, yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do this math. Yes, I can learn. Yes, what I'm doing is for my good. That will fire them from the within, and they'll become motivated. So also we need to listen very keenly, actively, and lead the nonverbal messages from our children. As they are reading, you know, we need to know. You need to be careful, so that you discover when their motivation is going down, and you be there to encourage them so that they know what to do. So there are many things that, you know, as parents we need to do. But one of the things that people say about building that self-confidence is, you know, actual performance, working with the children, providing challenging tasks with them, working with them as they learn, as they do their revision, as they, you know, they study, as they fail, you are there with them, you encourage them. You know, that one, you're building that strong confidence in them. And the other thing is, you know, they learn from other experiences of other people. You know, let them know, be honest with them on how also you struggled in your learning, and how, you know, how you went through. Because many parents, you know, they push our kids that, you know, I'm A material, I did A material, but we need just to be honest to them and tell them, you know, this is what I did my best. Because the issue is you do your best, build that intrinsic value, motivation in them. So the other thing is also, number 3 is social persuasion. You need to persuade them, you need to work with them, to work hard. They really need to understand. That's very, very important. And the other thing is, you know, you minimize their anxiety. So these are some of the ways that we can build their social self-confidence, self-efficacy, so that they can be able to learn. So as I recap on all the things that we've said is, you know, there are many ways that, there are many challenges that, you know, we are facing as parents, especially in this homeschooling. And we said number 1 is self-doubt. as parents we doubt. But one of the things we said is you need to understand that children learning is different from adult learning. You need to be there with them. They will never have the initiative. You're the one to take the initiative. You're the one to push them for them to have a timetable. You're the one to create the environment for them. You're the one to be there with them. You're the one to tell them, yes, it's okay to fail. It's okay. You know, you really need to bring that tenacity in them so that they know whatever happens, daddy or mom is there with me. Number two is sometimes the kids will not take you seriously. But I've said you have to set it. You have to clear the rules. It's time for study. It's time for homeschooling. Wake up, take breakfast, do 1, 2, 3. Let them do their timetable. Put even time they can play. Put whatever they want in their timetable. Be with them. Have practicals with them. Make it fun, and they will respect that. Number 3, organization. It's very important for you to be organized. And I said 5 P's. Prior planning prevents poor performance. Plan area. Plan your schedule. Plan how you wake up the day and everything. Number 3, in case you have kids, small toddlers, you need to plan. If they're big, just make them part, because if they don't feel like they're part of the program, they'll bring a lot of issues. But if they feel they're part of the learning process, just have something for them as you're doing also. As the other ones are sitting on the table doing whatever they're doing, they're also walking with them. The other one is the issue of feeling isolated. Don't feel isolated. Talk to other parents, talk to teachers. There's a lot of stuff you can even see from Google, from internet about homeschooling and experiences of so many other parents. Please, there's a lot of information. Don't feel isolated. The other thing is have place also for your kids to socialize. Let them connect with their friends, calling, WhatsApp, video conferencing, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, whatever, so that that interaction with their friends is very, very important. It fires them and gives them the encouragement to go on. And the most important thing is about motivating the children. And we've talked about motivation. There are two motivation. The one that comes from inside and the one that is imposed. Most of our kids, we have to use the carrot. Because you're the parent, you have to create that environment that they love learning. Reward good performance. Reward them for for obeying and for taking the discipline of home learning and homeschooling. That is very important. Let them have goals. Let them write their goals and let them be motivated. Also understand that there are different types of learners. Our children are different. There are those who just surface learning. They just want to go by, do the bare minimum. There are those who are achiever learners. They want to have good marks. That's where they are. And then we have the deep learner. The deep learner is the student who will sit and learn and learn. They're just motivated. Their kids were like that. They learn, they read. They have that interest for them. And then the last one, which is number 8, develop the self-efficacy. Develop the self-confidence. Very important. Very self-efficacy for our children. We build it because it's very important. Because when somebody knows that they have what it takes to come back even after failure, that's very, very important. And they'll be able to go through life with the challenges that comes. And so the last one is also listening. You have to listen, you have to monitor the kids, and you have to know what's happening with them. And as you walk with them, you lift them and motivate them as we go through this post-COVID season. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helps you. And if in case it has, please subscribe to our channel and just share it with somebody else, and maybe just get even back to me with comments and any other query that you want us to discuss, because this is very important. None of us have been here. This COVID season has brought so many other different things in our lives, but together we can do it and we can make it. Thank you so much. God bless you. Love you. Chini ya